and say we're willing to give up the footprint of these big boxes, we're willing to look at more modern ideas, and then with the construction done, we will get some development on there. Right now, to buy those big box buildings, the cost of the building versus what they could get per square foot in sales, you're not going to get the developers that you want. We have to be willing to change the footprints over there, and so that would be a public process with a lot of input. We, make sure that it works for the people that live there and it works for us, but we have to be willing to give up those big boxes over there.
If I may have just a second, I compliment the mayor on speaking so eloquently. I disagree with what she has said. We cannot trust the government to do anything positive. We've seen way too many of the evidence. When they get their hands on something, it just doesn't go well. We have to have private entrepreneurship, people like you that know how to make things work. We need to engage with developers that look at this area that we have. And instead of taking that resource and putting it to the side for the sake of spending other resources, why not use that resource and turn it into something beautiful that has been done by many, many communities around the country? We have a beautiful river going through the heart of our town. And that property there, where some probably does need to be knocked down, others are wonderful. And what people can do with that property, we just have to come together and look at what the best use and purpose of our little downtown area could become. And I'm sure, positive, that we will come up with something that will work for all of us.
You might want to read the National Flood Insurance Act of 1968, which prohibits us from building any property in a floodway, which is what we have along the river. There's
a lot that our government puts out that I just don't agree with.
We are the government.
Why are we talking about the river when the basics are failing? Again, Gurney Mills is a dinosaur. It is not what it once was, and declining, and the east side has never been developed. I think we're missing the boat here. I think that until we make those our priorities, get the train back on the track,
literally
create a new vision under new leadership, I think we will continue to fail. And now, let's make it clear, Gurney is poised for success. We have a wonderful town that sits between two major expressways, two major airports, two major cities. And if everybody around us is getting it done, what are we missing? Something's wrong here. It has not happened. You've had a preview of the current administration. It is time for change. Can we afford to go another 4 years with the same leadership? The East Grand Corridor, nothing has happened. We were able to, via grant, to put in pavers across at all of the intersections, brick pavers. But we've got to get the train back on the track, or else. And unfortunately, again, my fear is that the tax, if we're not careful, the tax burden will return to the resident. And so, I just think we need new leadership at this time, and I think we need to get back to the basics.
Mr. Eiler?
Mayor, gentlemen, good morning. Now for something completely different. On Sunday, May 3rd, the Sundance Saloon in Fountain Square, formerly Lakehurst, is going to be hosting the Iron Horse Roundup Bike Show, expected to bring in or attract between 10 and 12,000 motorcycles and motorcyclists. Mayor Hyde has indicated he approves of this event and thinks it's a good idea. What is your take on this and the impact on Gurnee, and specifically our police and fire departments?
Well, I'm glad they didn't ask to do it in Gurnee. But you're probably not aware that Great America hosts events twice as large as that all year long to different corporations. Now, they don't drive motorcycles, but we are used to dealing with those types of things, whether Gurney Mills, when they host the different things, but Six Flags can be rented out by corporations, and they do that quite a bit during the year. So our police and fire are used to dealing with that, and our police and fire chiefs will have a place at the table as they discuss this event at Sundance Saloon. We'll have to be prepared for it, but they didn't ask for a permit in Gurney, so I was able to breathe a sigh of relief, because I knew they were looking.
Greg,
Go ahead.
Publicly, Tim Perry of Grays Lake opposed their event last year, and it caused a little bit of commotion and some publicity. What happens in other communities, we should allow them to do what they do so that what we do in our community, they allow us to do what we do. I would speak with the leaders of that community and make sure that they have all their ducks in order. I would expect our police, which I trust, know what's happening so that in any eventuality, it would be taken care of. If something happened due to that event, then shame on them for not doing the right thing. And maybe in the future, they'll not do that. But to get into other people's business, it's very difficult. We need to build bridges with other towns and our city, Waukegan, next door to us. We have to show a level of community spirit with each other so that when we do need them, they're there for us too. So since it's their authority, I would just keep an open eye and make sure that our people are protected in any possibility of something wrong going. So it's their town, and the people of Waukegan can do what they want.
I just think that, you know, Waukegan has made a decision to host such an event. It's their business to do that. But I think, you know, our jurisdiction, within our jurisdiction, we need to just make sure that our police and our authorities, our police, fire, are, you know, coordinating with, you know, Waukegan, and to make sure that, you know, that they even have the most successful event possible, such that it doesn't impact us. So, and it sounds like that's being done. So, hopefully, it won't be a concern.
What specific plans going forward do you have for Gurney Mills? We've lost Circuit City there now, and it does seem that crime in the parking lots is becoming a bigger problem. So are there talks planned? Is Gurney Mills receptive to change, revitalization? So what specific things in the future do you have in mind? Thank you.
No, you go first. You've worked with them.
All right, Gurney Mills was purchased last year by Simon Group. Simon Group is one of the premier REITs, real estate investment trusts, and they own upscale malls all over the United States. And they bought the entire Mills group, which is quite a few mills across the country. They have been in probably more than a half a dozen times. I don't know off the top of my head, but we meet with them fairly frequently. So we know their overall plan for the mills. But one thing about the Simon Group, and the reason they're a fairly good investment right now as a REIT, is they don't have a lot of debt. They don't want to take on a lot of debt right now. They want to protect their cash flow to keep their properties going. So they don't want it. They were going to start some things, and now they've decided to wait until the markets are a little better. And I certainly don't blame them. But they have shown us the plans for what they want to do with Gurney Mills, and it will be a combination of more of an upscale mall while keeping the value that they have, you know, with some of the stores they have existing. They brought in almost 24 new stores over the last year, and they're getting away from that dollar store mentality, and they've been bringing in some really nice stores. I do almost all my shopping out there. It's always busy. Crime, yes, we've had some spikes. We met our police department, their security, their mall management. We've all met. There is a plan of attack, and I actually think the last 3 or 4 months on the reports, it's gone down dramatically with the changes they've made. They brought in a new general manager. He's managed big malls in urban areas. He knows what he's doing. He's made a lot of changes in how things are handled out there. They are working to make some improvements on the parking lot. We're trying to tackle the big things, but when there's an issue, you know, it's myself, it's the police chief, it's our village administrator, it's their management, and team, they're corporate guys. We come in and we figure it out. We had people hanging around at the theater. What do we need to do to change that? And it can't always be, just send our police guys out there. I mean, they're busy all over town. So we